Field of 68 after dark. Welcome in on a Wednesday, January 14th edition of Field of 68 After Dark. After Dark, we got. It's now Thursday on the East Coast. I feel like I'm doing like the New Year's Eve, show. I'm in Central Standard Time, which is the best time zone on the planet. But I know that this is an East Coast show. So welcome to Thursday on Field of 68. John Martin, Randolph, Childress, Mike LaTulip here tonight. Man, we got a lot to get to. We got a lot of game winners. We got to talk about some, miracles, no question about it. Some really nice wins throughout the country tonight, absolutely. But we need to start, fellas, with the West Coast. We're going from the East Coast to the West Coast, and that is what happened in Stanford, North Carolina. Stanford finishes the game on an 11-3 run. Absolutely take over, despite no Okpara for Stanford. RC, they get this done thanks to a stud freshman and just an unconscious night from three. Just take me inside, what you made of this Stanford win and how they played tonight.
Listen, all credit goes to Stanford. They play well. I mean, Abuka Okori is a talented freshman, and we've said that on the show many a nights that nationally he should get more recognition, but he probably wouldn't because we wasn't sure how good Stanford would be. I think we got that answer. I've had Stanford early in this year, and I think they're a really good team, and now everyone else is going to find out. That kid's really talented, as fast as anybody in college basketball with the ball in his hands. And so I think for them, credit to them, but for Carolina, I think the biggest concern is their guard play. I mean, I don't know, what you expect more. I mean, they had Evans has got to be better, just be more productive and offer them something on the offensive end of the floor. But they scored 90 points, man. But 95 it took a great effort from Stanford to beat them. But if I'm, you don't overreact to a loss at all. Those late night West Coast trips are tough, man. But
yep,
they got to find a way to get some more consistency out of their backcourt, not named Seth Trimble.
Yeah, LaTulip, if you're one of those who's maybe not indoctrinated to Stanford basketball, or you haven't been watching because you can't stay up late or whatever. Felt like this is one of those games that we'll look back on. It's like a Corey is announcing to the world, hey, I know that there's a lot of talented freshmen in this crop, but I'm out here at Stanford and I'm balling out.
He looked like the toughest cover in America tonight. It didn't matter. It didn't matter what North Carolina threw at him. I mean, it's just you try to blitz a ball screen, he can split it, he can turn the corner, and a lot of the high percentage looks they got from three was because he was able to break them down. And so when you have a guy like that who can tilt the floor, and then I think the other guys that they have on that team do such a good job of just kind of knowing who they are, and they just play within themselves and let a Corey kind of dictate what's going on. So they tried to switch on him. They tried to do a myriad of things. And when he's so talented. We saw a lot of good point guard play tonight, to be honest. I mean, between Smith, Acuff, all the way down the list. And Corey looked like he was right up there with all of them. And I think you're right, RC. He does get lost in the shuffle with this freshman class, but he's looked like a pro up to this point, and he looked like he stamped that thing tonight.
Yeah, he's been that good. He's been that good all year long, guys. He really has. He didn't come in obviously as a heralded recruit, but from day one he's been that guy. And when you watch him on the floor, he's as fast. He reminds you of like Boopy Miller. I mean, he's just fast. He gets anywhere he wants to get on the floor. And I know we'll talk about Boopy at some point tonight, but that's what he reminds me of in the sense of a small guard as fast as anybody in college basketball. And man, he put on the show tonight.
Yeah, like you said, you can't overreact to a road conference loss. RC, they were 5-point favorites tonight. UNC was, again, mentioned that Stanford was down their second leading scorer, Okpara. But yes. I would just ask you from the way that this game unfolded, standpoint, like it felt like Stanford was getting really easy looks from three. They made them, but they were also getting really easy looks from three. And to allow a team to shoot 57% from three, if you're North Carolina, any concern long term with the relative ease for the Stanford offense tonight for UNC's defense?
Listen, he's going to do that to everybody, right? I mean, it's hard to keep a guy in front of you that's just that fast, that's gifted with the ball. Any good guard that handles the ball with that level of speed, you're not standing in front of him. So when he gets it going, Carolina's they tried. They dropped coverage, they blitzed him, they tried everything. And then you're scrambling. When you can't guard a guy like that, you're scrambling. And when he has it going, he's getting in the paint, he's drawing fouls, he's finishing. It was a special performance by him. And you got to give him credit for missing his second leading score. Like that, like I would have never given him a chance with Akpara being out. I thought I would have been like, man, that's just too much for them to overcome. And he just put him on his back, man. And again, he's a load to deal with, and nobody can guard him one-on-one just like that. I mean, because they put the ball in his hand and he's going to shoot it and he stays in attack mode. That's their offense. And that's why I say he's a tough cover. It's not like you just can't defend him. It's that he's coming at you a la like an old Allen Iverson type. I mean, Allen Iverson just constantly in attack mode, get downhill. He's going at you. They allow him to do that even when he's struggling. That's just how this Stanford team is built. And when he has it going, he's fun to watch.
Mike, anything for you on that, from what you saw from UNC tonight defensively, just one off? Like sometimes you run into a buzzsaw on the road. Like, where are we?
Yeah, I mean, not really. I wouldn't say it's necessarily a one-off. I mean, we saw Florida State, and Florida State does this to everybody, but spread you out. They tried to switch, put Vasar out on the perimeter, have him guard on the perimeter. The difference tonight, and RC alluded to it, is like there's a difference between, hey, we don't want to give a guy a steady diet of anything, and hey, we're actually searching for something defensively. There's like that power dynamic where it's like you can have the power if you're a defense and you're dictating and you're determining the coverages and it's working, and then you got a guy like a Corey who's like, he makes you search. And so that's, I think, where North Carolina got caught tonight. But beyond the defense too, I mean, RC touched on Kyan Evans. I mean, he's been in double figures once in last 11 games, and that's just with Trimble being out for a little while, coming back in. Like he's got to be the guy that it may not be 15 a night, but finding high quality looks. Getting part of that can be out in transition. I know he's tasked with bringing the ball up sometimes and pushing in transition, but whether it's Vasar, like the attention that Vasar commands in the post and on rolls, like should in theory free him up to get more high percentage looks. So I think he's kind of the X factor in a sense, because I do trust Trimble, but his offensive production I think will put less strain on some of these other guys when teams really start loading up.
Yeah, RC, between Dixon, Trimble, and Evans, 16 points. We did a segment last time I was hosting, Fraud or For Real, and I said, well, I don't think I could call North Carolina or any team that has Caleb Wilson on it a fraud, even though I know he had the turnover late. But he had 26. Right. Visar had 26. That being said, you still lose this game 95-90. I think they're, when you think about the worst of Carolina here, losing a game 95-90 when you get 16 from your guards, this is the stuff that probably should make anybody reconsider. If you've got North Carolina on that, top of the hierarchy in college basketball, this is a game that maybe makes you rethink that a little bit because of the guard play.
Listen, I don't want to overreact to it because Stanford's good. I mean, this is a different group, right? I mean, they have a dude, and usually – you can make an argument that Abuka Okori was the best player on the floor tonight. Not we ain't talking about NBA stuff, but he controlled and dominated this game, right? And that happens in college basketball. It happens in every game. And so he's capable of doing that. And that's what happened tonight. I mean, we know Caleb Wilson and Vasar what they are and how dominant they are. But the guy who controlled the game played for Stanford. And so the only thing we're saying about Evans is, listen, he played 28 minutes tonight, and he only had 2 assists, and he was 1 for 5 from the floor. It's just, if he's not scoring and he's not creating for others, then it's like with that amount of minutes being played, he didn't lose the game, but we're just saying, hey, with that type of production out of your front line, he should be getting either high assist or a higher percentage of field goal of making field goals, threes, open threes, or whatever. And he's just not doing it right now. And he's got to figure that out to avoid some of the concerns with Carolina. But having Seth Trimble back changes that tonight. They just ran into a guy that's really damn good and let everybody else in the country know.
Yeah, really nice win for Stanford. They played to win, and they did. So congrats to the Cardinal there for getting that done at home as 5-point underdogs. A little bit shorthanded, no doubt about that. All right, we're down to 3 undefeateds left. Vandy goes down on the road at Texas. Again, I think, Mike, we're talking about the same sort of school of thought. You go on the road in conference. I know it's not East-West Coast, but like, there are just gonna be nights like this, at the Power Four level, and I don't think anybody certainly expected Vandy to even be here, to be anywhere close to what they are right now. But they do go down to Austin, and now Texas, man, 2 in a row at Alabama. Now they beat Vandy 80-64. Obviously, really nice run for them, and I know that's music to Sean Miller's ears. But what did you see from Texas tonight, and what helped them kind of put belt to ass tonight?
I mean, they start 0-2 in conference, and now they have, fast forward 5 days, and they in the early going in SEC play have the best 2-game stretch out of anybody. And so you can see how quickly that flips, and you see it with Texas, just the size. I mean, Vocatitis is phenomenal.
Yes.
Actually, he's still somehow underrated. I actually think they don't throw it into him enough. I think he needs more touches, but I thought tonight Texas took away a lot of the areas Vanderbilt's excelled in to this point in the season. That Vanderbilt's a team that gets 15 fast break points a game this year, 0 today. I thought Texas did a great job kind of controlling the flow, controlling the tempo, getting back in transition. That's kind of been a hallmark for Sean Miller. Those Xavier teams did the exact same thing. Arizona was a little bit different, but Vandy typically gets 50% of their shots are in the paint. And they had 14 paint points tonight. So all those areas where Vandy has kind of flexed their muscle throughout the season, Texas took away. And I mentioned Vocatitis, like obviously a load offensively, but I thought Sean Miller's game plan defensively was awesome. When you get it's the same thing with the Corey, right? When you get Tyler Tanner, it's just you got to have a coverage you feel confident in. And I think if you let him tilt the floor and get you in rotation, now they're shooting threes, they're shooting tee-ups, you're cooked. So I thought they were brilliant tonight. Obviously, they switched likes with their guards, but with Vocatitis, it was, hey, when Vocatitis man sets a ball screen, we're going to put you in drop and we're going to switch. Like we're going to have that late kind of, they call it veer switch, drop switch. Mm-hmm. So Tanner doesn't ever have 2 on the ball with him to be able to put them in rotation. So now it's like he's coming downhill. They stay at home on the guy who sets the screen, and Vocatitis is walling up around the rim. I mean, Tanner was 2 for 8 around the rim tonight. It was his lowest 2-point percentage of the night. So a really sound game plan. They didn't leave shooters. 8 for 15 in the first half, but that came back down to earth in the second half. This was a big time win for Texas, and you can just see the last 2 games. Like this is a tournament team. They're too talented. They're too long. They're too athletic. That's a team that's absolutely going to be playing in March.
Yeah. RC, if you were a skeptic of Vandy, right, you would say this is like your fear. Like when you get up against a big like Vocatitis, they don't really have an answer, and they didn't tonight.
Listen, they're undefeated, right? And I said this a couple of days ago. They're the team that, for a team that's 10th in the country, because they don't pass the eye test. From a physical standpoint, everybody wants to have a butt. Like you don't want to believe. I'm a believer. But next, they got Florida at home. So they got some things to answer about the size because they're about to get a lot of it to see, to make to see if is that the kryptonite. So I think Vandy's legit. Give credit to Sean Miller and the as Mike alluded, the game plan was great. They were able to try to stay home with shooters. They controlled the paint, and that's something that Vandy does. Everybody focuses on the 3-point line, but they controlled it with the guards getting in off the paint, and Vocatitis just control that. And again, we're going to see if they can make adjustments because they're going to get Florida at home, and that's a massive front line. We can see if how they respond and what they've learned from this game.
And Florida's playing a lot better. They feel like they've kind of found their stride here. The last couple of games. So
big test.
I want to go back to you say you're a believer in Vandy. Like what? Yeah. Like what does that mean when you say you're a believer that?
Because I think everybody you tend to take they're fraud. I think their guards are playing at elite. They're not the sexy NBA draft pick and everything else that everybody's talking about, right? I mean, Abuka Corey, the story because he's a freshman at Stanford is just, they don't have that. I mean, Tyler Tanner's a smaller guard. Duke Miles is that they just have a bunch of guys that they've gotten from other places and they're making it work. And Byington just wins wherever the hell he goes, man. And they've been, this team had tournament experience a year ago, brought in a bunch of guys. I think he just coaches his ass off, and I've just seen enough of them all year long to be a firm believer. I saw them come here in Winston and beat the crap out of Wake. They shoot the hell out of it. I think they said they control the paint better than people give them credit for their size. They make the bigger teams adjust to them. And for the first time tonight, Texas just did a really good job of not doing that, making them play and play over that length. And credit to them. They were going to lose. I mean, it's just like we just said, Iowa State just went down. I don't think we're going to have any undefeated teams as we get through the end of this month. It's time. I mean, you're in conference play.
Right.
Stuff like this is going to happen. So I don't want to overreact. But the concerns about Vandy as far as length, it's a great week that you're going to find out about that. Because, again,
right.
you had that with Texas, and you're going to find out here when Florida comes to town.
Yeah, just to add to RC's point there, I think when I look at this Vanderbilt team, even tonight, even in a 16-point loss, like there's just something I trust about them. Like I trust them. Like I kind of trust the guard play. I trust Byington. Yeah. I trust that, they got a guy who can get a paint touch come hell or high water. All that stuff really matters when you get into conference play. They play hard. I think they're smart. I think that raises your floor, despite maybe the physical limitations when you talk about, I mean, I say that, but like you still got some physical freaks on that team. Right. So, they're still going to be up there contending for the SEC. I don't think this is one of those situations where it's like, oh,
right.
Here they go. They're going to fall back down into the middle of the pack. They're going to be up there when it's all said and done.
Well, I think that is kind of that is the challenge innately of doing what we do here every night, is that like sometimes I do think there are reasons to react. You know what I mean? Like teams will take a loss and there's like a reason to be like, holy shit, like something's not right. But then we have to kind of sift through like, yeah, they're undefeated. They're going to lose and they're going to, go on the road in conference. And like, that is so much a part of the fabric in college basketball. It's where like, if you're going to react to that every time it happens, you're going to be doing that a lot, over the course of the year.
I'll say this, of the two teams that we talked about, I have more concerns about Carolina because of their guard play. I have less about Vandy because of their guard play, right? If we saw it into the game, a situation points that out. So that's why I say I feel really comfortable with Vandy because they're not going to beat themselves.
Yeah. Honestly, RC, it's a great point because like look at late game for Carolina. It was like even with 16 seconds left, when down 4, most teams try to get a 3-up. It's a post entry pass to Vasar.
Post up.
And then it's it's Caleb Wilson in the long post. And they don't have that. I've talked about it a bunch on this show, but from the guard spot, they don't have that easy button. That like Christian Anderson, come set a high ball screen. Let's get into a short roll. That's not their strength. And I think that can hurt you late game.
All right. Last question on this before we get to some other games around the country here. RC, if you were in the mood for a little wager and you were near a BetMGM kiosk, you want to place a future bet on the SEC champ, who's getting your money right now in the SEC?
Woo! I would love to wait another week before I was forced to do it. But if you're asking me to go tonight, my money's gonna be in Bud Walton Arena. I'm going with it.
I like it.
Yeah,
it's a good night to say that, by the way, because they looked freaking unbeatable.
Yeah,
but I think that you're going to be live. What about you, Mike?
Really tough to go against Arkansas after they looked like they were playing a different sport tonight compared to South Carolina. But I know they won the title last year, and it's hard to say this team is underrated. But I think we do this whole thing where it's like, well, we view Florida a certain way. It's Florida, by the way, for me. We view Florida a certain way because we compare them to, like, it's all relative to what they were when they had Walter Clayton, when they had all these different. But like, I think about just the grind of conference play, and to have that type of floor from a defense and a rebounding standpoint, to arguably the best rebounding team in America. And then now it's like, okay, Boogie Flan's getting a little more confidence, and they're turning defense into offense. They don't have to rely on those guards that heavily, if they're turning defense into offense. So that's why it's Florida for me. And I mean, the metrics are great for them. Not that is like the end all be all, but the 3 losses they had in non-conference, the Arizona game came down to the wire, the UConn game came down to the wire, and the Duke game came down to the wire. And so if they somehow are on the winning end of 2 of those, is it a question at this point?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like that's how I look at it with Florida. But Arkansas, like I said, golly.
Yeah.
It's not just tonight, though. You know what? It's not just tonight.
Yeah.
But I think of them. I'll say this. I think of Florida the way I think of Carolina again, in a sense of
regards.
I want to see a level of consistency from their guards before I say, all right, I believe that Florida can finish it. That's my only concern with Florida and Carolina. Yeah. Damn good teams. They'll have something to say about it, but I just worry about them with their guard play.
And that's why Alabama's live in that discussion as well, with Philon and Holloway. They get healthy, they'll be in that mix. Just wait on it. All right, top 10 teams in action tonight. We'll get into that. One of the teams that maybe would have been the pick in the SEC before the season had a miracle. It took a miracle, and it came through in Baton Rouge. We'll get into it next. Field of 68 after dark.
As you know by now, we have teamed up with BetMGM again this season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we will have special offers for Field of 68 fans, including same-game parlays, best-in-class live betting, and daily odds boost. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code FIELD to get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. You download the BetMGM app, you sign up using bonus code FIELD, you deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure you use that bonus code FIELD when you sign up. Make this college basketball season one for the history books. Make it legendary. And don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code FIELD and get your $1,500 first bet offer today. If you're not a member of the Field of 68's On3 community, make sure to go check us out. Get access to all of Jeff Goodman and Rob Doster's written content, including coaching carousel breakdowns, info on who is and isn't entering the transfer portal, insider recruiting information from none other than Joe Tipton, X's and O's analysis of all the teams in college basketball, and access to our message board community. A 7-day trial costs you $1. The Field of 68 on 3. Get the scoop.
Welcome back, Field of 68 After Dark. After Dark. It is an extremely late edition of the show. Obviously, have lots of games going on right now. We will blame RC's conference for that. Mr. ACC himself. You know, anything for a buck. Anything for a buck, man. Just gotta get those TV numbers up, man. That's all. So we'll do whatever we got to do. We'll play till 3 a.m. if we have to, right?
Hey, man, you ain't changing no diapers. Be quiet and just go. You ain't doing nothing.
Look, Jeff Goodman makes you answer for Penny Hardaway every time y'all do a show together, which is not fair. But I do think it's fair for you to have to answer the ACC.
It's all right. You know, tough call, man. Somebody got to do it. Somebody's got to do it.
That's right. All right, some top 10 teams in action tonight. Start with Purdue. Purdue down at half, and RC was saying that by the end of this game, he was ready to send in his first team All-America ballot. He didn't even want to wait until the end of the season. He was ready to put Braden Smith in already. Obviously, a dominant performance there in the second half by him, RC. What'd you make of just what you saw from the Boilermakers and Smith in that second half?
Listen, man, I was sitting here going, and this is just an honest comment. The point guard position will be the hardest thing when it comes All-American selection. I mean, it's the hardest eval all year long you're going to have. Like, there's going to be a damn good player being left off that list, and it's going to be a fight for first team. And it's a legitimate argument right now. Like, you can't go wrong with a ton of guys. And I'm sitting there in the first half, and I'm watching this game, and I'm like, damn. I'm like, all right, well, is it Darius Acuff? Like, who am I gonna put on my first team? And then the second half started, and Braden Smith reminded me of like he's that dude. Like, seriously, that was a hard fought game, and he reminded. I mean, I was impressed with him not just because of offensively. I thought he stepped up defensively at times and like challenged Ben Sturts, like, hey, like this is you and me. This game's gonna come down to which one of us is better, and I thought he played better and put Purdue on his back, man. So it's a good win. I don't think Iowa's a great team. I think they're a good team. I do think Iowa came in playing better, playing well. They were well prepared, and it wasn't Purdue's best punch, man. Credit Braden Smith was incredible. I thought in the second half we saw some great performances tonight in college basketball.
Yeah, Mike. I mean, isn't that why people are confident about Purdue? Like that's the stuff that you dream of if you're a coach, like to just be able to know it's not this isn't our best. This isn't our best punch. Like TKR didn't have a great game.
Do,
like,
right?
Exactly.
You got to do. Like, that's the difference. And it's funny. Matt Painter's a great coach. And he even said it. He's like, man, sometimes I can't draw this up on a piece of paper. I just get a ball to that dude and I just get out of the way. And that's what it looked like today.
Yeah, I mean, I give Iowa a lot of credit because in a desperate spot, 2-3 in conference, don't want to drop to 2-4, but you're in Mackey. They outplayed Purdue for long stretches of this game, and I thought on a night where you touched on it right there, John, where Trey Kaufman-Renn didn't have his best stuff. That was a legendary second half from Braden Smith, man. Like, they got down 9. And he just turned into Batman. He was hunting his shot more. He hit a few pull-ups. And then I thought the real turning point in the game, and RC, you alluded to it too, when that ball is going out of bounds towards Ben McCollum on the sideline and Bennett Sturts goes to pick it up and Braden Smith gets on the floor. Honestly, probably a foul. But he's rewarded for the effort. It's out of bounds on Sturts. And, he's firing up the crowd. He's getting the place going. He gets a couple and ones on the ensuing possessions. Then before you know it, he just kind of had the game in a stranglehold. And that's the thing that he does is like once he starts hunting his shot like that, and when he revs up that aggressiveness, then you're at his mercy because he can just kind of pull the chair on you when he gets 2 to commit. He gets to drop off to Clough, and then Matt Painter's playbook just opens more and more. Because now you have the threat of him coming off like the zoom actions in the middle third of the floor. And then they get like Trey Kaufman-Renn on a dump off on a seal because 2 guys follow Braden Smith. It's just that, for him to be able to, this is what being a point guard is. And our RC knows this. Like, you have the dual responsibility of like Braden Smith could score if he came into the game and made a concerted effort to score 25 points a night. He could probably do it. I don't know what the efficiency would look like. I don't know if their team would win a ton because he's not getting guys involved like he is. That's the responsibility of a point guard. It's like, I got to set the table to make sure Fletcher's good. Oscar's getting his touches. TKR's getting his short rolls. I got to do all that. And then when it's like, you look around, shit, it's on me now. Let's go. Like the guys that can flip that switch are the special ones. They're the All-American ones. So I think we love new in college basketball. With Tyler Tanner's bursting on the scene. We're talking about a Corey. Right. I refuse to get Braden Smith fatigue. Man, I refuse to get it. He's incredible.
Well, go ahead, RC.
Well, no, go ahead. Say what you're gonna say.
Well, I was gonna say because I was gonna come to you because I think that applies not just to players. It applies to teams. When you think about the national championship conversation right now, it feels like everybody's focusing on Michigan. Everybody's focusing on Arizona. RC, everybody's focusing on Memphis. But it feels like we've almost taken Purdue for granted a little bit here. Like, here they are. They're still top 5. Like, they still have multiple All-Americans. Still have Matt Painter. Right. They're just chugging along, handling business. Like, hey, we're here. We're not going anywhere.
16-1.
16-1. 16-1, guys, and they find a way to win when they don't have their best stuff. That's the scary part. And like today, CJ Cox hits a 3 where it's not like he has it going all game long, right? It's not like this is his night where he's knocked down 5 or 6 threes and he has it going. He's literally just in the game all game long, just playing, and then his ability to step up in critical moments, to hit, essentially a dagger. Is what makes Purdue so special, man. It's just a different guy, whether it's Myers coming off the bench, giving them production, man. They're just a connected group of guys that'll be there when it matters. We're talking about everyone else, Michigan dominance, but a couple of programs in the Big Ten are just going to be there, and it's Purdue and Michigan State, whether you like it or you don't. It ain't pretty, it ain't flashy, but they're going to be there.
Yeah, and to add to that real quick, John, I talked about this at the beginning of the season with Purdue. Purdue is not a team like a Houston, like an Arizona. Some of those teams, like they're not going to overwhelm you physically. They're not going to blow open games because they overwhelm you physically. What they do overwhelm you with is their execution.
Absolutely.
So there's a margin for error with that. Because you can't just bring those physical tools to every game. Now you got to be locked in. So the turnovers early in the game is really why Iowa was leading. So it's one of those things for Purdue. That's why you're thankful that you have a guy like a Braden Smith who can pull you out of ruts, who can get you into something good, who can give you a high percentage look offensively, who can rile the crowd up, who can get on the floor, because those are just some things that, like I said, I mean, they don't have like those physical. Yes, Jacobson comes in, he's 7'5", Clough is a big dude, but we've seen just the different ways teams can win, to RC's point, and that's how this Purdue team wins. It's through their execution, and it's through, frankly, following their senior leader, who's just a freaking warrior.
Yeah, I would just be absolutely stunned if they are not in the Final Four because of what you mentioned. To beat Purdue, you're going to have to out-execute Purdue. And maybe there are a couple of teams that can do that, but not many. They
took Houston to the freaking brink, man.
Exactly.
Like in the Sweet 16. I mean, they were a botched baseline out of bounds defense away from potentially, going to a Final Four. I think they would have won that next game against Tennessee. It's crazy just to kind of look back on that. I mean, I think that's forgotten. It's 62-60. They were right there.
They certainly were. All right, around college basketball, they're calling it the Miracle from Moreno down in Baton Rouge. They're not calling it that. I just made that shit up, but they should call it that because you saw it. Everybody saw Mark Pope's face. They were down 18. They were down 18 in the second half. Kentucky was. And they get the buzzer beater, the game winner there from Malachi Moreno with 1.6 seconds left. I mean, again, credit to the team for doing that and getting it done. 3.5 point favorites on the road. RC, I won't ask you how this compares to Leitner's shot. Obviously, we know this one was much bigger, much more important. Where are we on Kentucky? Like, no Jalen Lowe, obviously. Where are we today on Kentucky basketball?
For me, I'm nowhere. I'm no different than what I've been. I think it's going to be a struggle all year long, even now without Jalen Lowe. I think Kentucky will be hard pressed to make the tournament, and I think you saw more of great win. I just think they're going to be tough. It's going to be tough for those guys to get in. I think they're going to miss Jalen Lowe more than we know. I think it showed for most of tonight's game. Down 18. Give them credit, man. They battled. They battled their ass off. They executed when it mattered. Moreno hit a shot. I left the game wondering, like, LSU, like, damn, like, why didn't you have a guy playing safety? Why was he on the ball when you knew the ball had to go, 75 feet? Yeah. But give them credit. I mean, but I'm my personal take on Kentucky. I'm not expecting them to go on some run. I do think it would have been brutal for them if they lose this game, but my opinion on them doesn't really change. Congratulations, you won. They're fighting still. Everybody's dumped on you, and I hope they prove me wrong.
Mike, anything for you here?
Luckily, I when I do my notes now, I do it. I used to do it with a pen and paper, old school. I would have been screwed. I would have had to like scribble and cross out all these notes that I had from the first half that were just light.
You were ready to crush him. You were ready to crush him because I was ready to blow. I was ready to light Kentucky ass up myself.
And honestly, and I felt like the Marino shot tonight, it felt season saving from the standpoint of like, they didn't punch their ticket to the tournament tonight. But you lose this game and you already don't really have, like, at this point, what is your marquee win? Is it St. John's? Is it Indiana? Like so my point is
probably Indiana. Yeah.
It's probably Indiana. My point is, like, given how the start of that game went, it felt season saving from that standpoint. I actually thought, Mark Pope made some adjustments, some good adjustments in the second half. Like the continuity that they ran last year offensively, where it's like, we got Amari Williams and we're going to go with these like dribble handoffs, zoom actions, go to the next side, go to the next side, go to the next side. They tried that in the first half. They had their first field goal in the half court 12 minutes into the game. I mean, it was a chore. And so that second half, they went to more just like baseline screens, floppy action, get shooters on the move, shift the defense, finish the possession with a high ball screen, and let's just see what happens. They start getting some movement, knocking down some shots. They posted Garrison a little bit. They posted Marino a little bit. But fortunately or unfortunately, however you want to look at it, for Kentucky, this team gets energized when they see the ball go through the basket. That's when they get energized. And the problem is, if that is the way if that is where your energy flows, you're going to get off to bad starts to games. Because it's not just intrinsically in you to sit down to get stops to start a game. And you look at just the start of that game, they gave up 2 offensive rebounds in the first defensive possession. They had a shot clock violation. They let a dude just circle up on a dribble handoff, hit a 3. OA dies on a screen, which forces Moreno to switch. Then Cam Williams has to go take Moreno's guy. Then they kick it out for a 3 on Cam Williams' guy for 3. They get a lane violation. It's like all this stuff happened in the first 5 minutes of the game. But, I do think that you did maybe find something there offensively in that second half. But the issue is that, like, now that's on film, right? So Tennessee's going to sit there and go, all right, this is how we're going to guard this. So I think there's issues, especially in the half court, that could still persist. What can't persist is the slow starts. Like, good teams are going to bear you. So I don't know. I still think that they can play faster. I still think they need more possessions just because they're going to need more margin for error. Even if it leads to more turnovers, get more possessions so that you can stay out of the half court more, get the ball out of the net, try to get to secondary transition even off of makes. They tried that. Actually, they were successful with it a couple times. OA got all the way downhill off a make. That's just kind of got to be the way they play. Turn defense into offense. But you can't start games like that against good teams. I'll tip my cap for their second half effort because they hung in there and they fought. They had 12 steals tonight. But man, it feels like every game it's like I get hit by a car watching Kentucky. Like I don't know. It's like a car accident. And you come out and you're like feeling around. You're like, I'm alive, but good Lord, I can't imagine for Big Blue Nation.
Yeah. RC, there is one LSU question I wanted to throw at you. And it doesn't really have so much to do with the game tonight, but yesterday before this game, and before the Wildcats came to town, the LSU AD, Verge Osbury, gave an interview to the Baton Rouge Advocate where he said publicly that if Matt McMahon doesn't make the NCAA tournament, we'll have to reevaluate. He said that publicly. He said that on the record. And while I think that's like an obvious thing that we all recognize, at Power Jobs, the job is to get to the NCAA tournament. How is it constructive to your coach who's trying to do all this in the midst of, a relatively successful season to this point? I'm just curious what you thought of that decision by the AD to go public like that.
I think that's, that's low hanging fruit. That's not big. That's not a big surprise. I mean, surprise would have been whether it was going to be a change a year ago. Once this season started, and you knew coming into this year that it had to be LSU had to make the tournament or else. So they started out well. Non-conference schedule, wasn't great, but they took care of business and they won. They just started conference play and they're 0 for 4. This is a gut wrencher for those guys. Like that, this is one that hurts.
Yeah.
Like this
Yes.
this hurts. I hurt for them in that aspect because they were dominating this game, and you needed this win if you were LSU for those those remarks, because everyone knows they're coaching for the jobs down there, and we sit here and we talk about it, but we also know none of us are sitting here wishing any ill will for anybody in their job, and it's always tough when you're like that, and that hurts. Like this is hard to get off the mat when you lose something like that.
Because that would have been a big one for Mavic.
Yeah.
Without his leading scorer, right, against Kentucky. I mean, that's a kick in the dick, honestly. And that's life. That's college basketball in the big city. But Kentucky gets it done. Game winner there from Malachi Moreno. All right, we will ask that man with the Illinois jersey in the background about Illinois' win tonight against Northwestern. Definitely get his thoughts on that. There were some more buzzer beaters that we got to talk about. Chris Beard. Is the Ole Miss basketball program getting off the mat? We'll get into all of that and more on the other side. Field of 68 after dark.
As you know by now, we have teamed up with BetMGM again this season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we will have special offers for Field of 68 fans, including same-game parlays, best-in-class live betting, and daily odds boost. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code FIELD to get up to a $1,500 first bet offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. You download the BetMGM app, you sign up using bonus code FIELD, you deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure you use that bonus code FIELD when you sign up. Make this college basketball season one for the history books. Make it legendary. And don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code FIELD and get your $1,500 first bet offer today.
Are you trying to follow everything happening in college basketball? It can be overwhelming. That's where the Field of 68 Daily comes into play. The Daily is your go-to source for recruiting news, game analysis, portal updates, and much, much more. For just $50 a year, you get access to the same information that your favorite coaching staff is subscribed to. Quality content can be hard to find in the college basketball space. The Daily is here to help. Make sure you subscribe today.
Welcome back, Field of 68 After Dark here on a now Thursday edition of the show. John Martin, Mike LaTulip, Randolph, Childress here with you tonight. Make sure you like and subscribe the YouTube channel here at the Field of 68. Got to discuss it. Illinois, nice win on the road, 79-68 against Northwestern. A little bit of a starting lineup shakeup because of, I believe, illness. But Illinois kind of humming right now. You always wonder, Mike, how is a team going to respond after, I don't know if emotional is the right word, but a high leverage win on the road at Iowa over the weekend. You're coming back home, or not home, but, back to your home state here. You always wonder, like, how is the team going to handle it? And I thought, Mike, and I'm curious where you're at on it. They handled it just fine, obviously getting the win by double digits tonight. Muted.
You're muted, Mike.
Quietly, they've jumped out to a 5-1 start in Big Ten play, and 4 out of those 6 games
on the road.
4 out of their 6 Big Ten games have been on the road, and they're 4-0. And so, I get it. It hasn't been against the top of the league, but if you want to contend for a league title, these are the ones you got to get. Right? It's not about the head-to-head matchup with Michigan or the head-to-head matchup with Purdue. You got to take care of the bottom of the league, especially on the road. And they've done that. And I think obviously there's been a lot of talk about Keaton Wagler and My God, he's just been a revelation for this team this year, and he's just been so even keel and calm and willing to accept all the responsibility thrown his way. They flipped him the keys after the UConn game at the end of November, and this team's taken off like a rocket ship. And so between Mirkovic, some of their new pieces, that's obviously been a good boost. But coming into this year, your pillars, your foundation, it was Kylan Boswell and it was Tomislav Visic. And Kylan tonight, I thought, was a total warrior. Setting the table when Keaton was out, but also like some of the offensive rebounds. He just, the back cuts, 13 points, 6 assists, 2 steals, and I think on top of that, he gets every night. He did with Cooper Flagg last year. He did with Danny Wolf. He guards the other team's best player, and he guarded Nick Martinelli tonight, and had that challenge on top of what he's got to do offensively. And then Tomislav, like he struggled to this point in the season. His usage has kind of gone down. His production's kind of followed. And so for him tonight to see 4 threes go through the net, they switched because they don't really believe in his ability to post them or hurt them in the post. He knocks down 4 of 10 threes, 4 or 5 around the rim. They've been ascending already. They're up to 5th in KenPom, and Tomislav's just now turning a corner. So I think it's scary what this Illinois team can continue to be on this trajectory.
RC?
I gotta agree with him. I had to let him get his moment, man. I know he said that with pride. I gotta echo it. No, we gave them. We all crushed those guys, man. And I said this to Brad when we had him on the show last week. Like I was hard on his frontline guys, after Nebraska early, but the turn of the year, like Mirkovic is being productive, man. He's playing like his size. We talked about it early in that game. I think he might have had, I don't know if he had a foul. They weren't rebounding. And so this team is scary. They're starting to me, that with 4 road wins, and again, I'm not minimizing that because the 4 road wins are hard. It doesn't matter where you are. Ask Carolina. It doesn't matter. You get on the road and anywhere in conference play, road wins are hard. This Illinois team is coming, man. It just feels like there's something different about them. They're showing a level of toughness. Brad Underwood, alluded to the ability to be able to practice, which happens to a lot of teams. You get to Christmas break, you get some time off, you get to work with some things. They look like they've gotten better. They're playing with a level of toughness, man. And Colin Boswell, man, I don't think again, when we talk about he won't be an All-American, he won't get any national attention, but he's a dude. He's a problem. He is not someone that you want to sit and have to play against for 40 minutes, man. So, in the Illini, man, they're real, and you got to give them credit for it. They're legit. They're gonna be fun to watch all year long.
We call ISOs for LaTulip here on the field of 68.
Yeah. We gotta give him his ISO. I'm getting out the way, no doubt. I'm giving him his ISO, and rightfully so. Hey, look, I'm rightfully so. I'm feeding him, man. Just talk your line out, man.
Bring it back. I will say, in that, I remember the group text because I was at the Nebraska game, the Illinois-Nebraska game. So I remember the group text, like the what's going on, the defense. And like you look at Nebraska now at, 16, 17-0, and the amount of defensive breakdowns for Illinois in that Nebraska game, to have a chance there at the end to still win that, knowing what Nebraska now is, I think it speaks to, they didn't make any changes schematically. It's just, hey, you got a top 5 offense in the country, and you got to be able to compartmentalize both ends. You can't play the style of defense. It's like, we'll make up for it on the other end. That's when you start going down a dark path. So I think they've done a great job. I think since that Nebraska game, they're a top 5 defense in the country per Torvik.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, again, and obviously level of competition has something to do with that, but each one of these guys valuing that side of the floor, they already have the physical tools. They're the tallest team in America. And you have Kylan as a point of attack defender. Keaton's a really good defender for a freshman. Mirkovic is their best communicator. And then you have Stojakovic too. I've just been so impressed with. RC, you remember him from the ACC, like all he knew was scoring. Like all he knew was just, I got to figure out how to score 25 tonight so that we can stay afloat at Cal. And then now it's like he's buying into all the little things. The rebounding's gone up. He's become a better defender. And when you have a guy buying into those little things, it's already that talented. The boost it has for this Illinois team, I just love the way they've come together. It was an inflection point after that Nebraska game, and they've taken off since, and they've built winning habits, particularly on the defensive end. And I think that bodes well moving forward. They got another one at Minnesota or against Minnesota on Saturday, and then they got a couple big ones coming up after that. So it'll be interesting. Then we obviously everything culminates with the March 6th date against Michigan, which will be fun.
Yeah. Illinois at 25-1 at BetMGM, by the way, to win it all. That intrigues me because, as you said, they've got the size, they got the shooting, they got the offense, they got the Europeans.
They're defending. And again, we question their toughness and their frontline guys' ability to rebound. That was the big thing that stood out to me. You didn't rebound into that game. You didn't show a level of toughness. Since then, they've shown toughness. They're defending. They were always good offensively. So they can shoot the ball. They can score it. Illinois is real.
Yep. All right, some games finishing up here as we finish up our hour here on the network. Arizona does get it done against Arizona State. RC, they were big favorites tonight against Arizona State. I think the Sun Devils gave them a little bit more maybe than they bargained for, but Arizona continues to roll. They roll on here. And, look, we're having this national championship, conversation, and they're right behind Michigan as the second favorite over at BetMGM. What do you think of Arizona? Obviously, winning is what matters here. They get it done tonight against Arizona State.
They do. And I think what we've already known, and as Rob is blowing our phone up, very few teams have closers, right? A guy that you can put the ball in his hand that we know we can rely on when it matters when they're in close games. And Arizona's got one in Jaden Bradley. And like I said tonight, and I mean this, I think the hardest position in college basketball this year, which is why it's so exciting, is we have as many, really good, damn near, I was borderline elite point guards in college basketball, which makes it so fun. Because there was a time you can go back a year or two ago, and we were like, man, where are the point guards? We don't have any point guards. I think we have a lot of high-level point guard play, but I will say there's a separated with a lot of guys. A lot of teams don't have a closer, and Arizona's got one. Say what you want. Jaden Bradley's a two-way guard, no different than we just talked about with Colin Boswell. He's a two-way dude, and he's a closer, man. When the game's on the line and it matters, he's answered the bell time and time again. He did tonight. They have, we talked about Koa Pete and his performance. He's just a double-double. He's one of the best freshmen in college basketball, one of the best players. So this is a number one team in the country. I don't think anyone debates that anymore. I never jumped off the bandwagon because I thought they had the best November, December, even though Michigan had been dominant. So I'm going to stay pretty consistent with that. But nothing that they do right now really surprises me.
Mike?
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth, RC. I think we've seen Jaden Bradley do this throughout the season. Think about that Florida game to open up the year. It's just they had nothing for him at the end of the game, and there's just so much value in that. How many times have we seen that in the NCAA tournament where it's like you get into a grinder, it's a low possession game, it's 60-58, and you got the ball in Jaden Bradley's hands with 32 seconds left, and there's 8 left on the shot clock, and this could be a defining possession, and he gets one to go, just like he did tonight. I think it was whatever it was, 65-62 or 67-62, and he ends up, or 87-82, he ends up putting it away. So, but I also think too, you think about how Arizona came out of the gates, and it was like, man, Koa Pete. Are things going to orbit around Koa Pete because of the 30 ball he dropped to start the season? And then I've loved to see, and I think it speaks to just how I describe this Arizona team is like, I think they're the most mature team in college basketball. Just, their role definition, they don't fall in love with jacking threes. They know where their bread's buttered. It's in the paint, and they make you work every single game. Like Koa Pete went from like 30 in the first game. And you think about that, like RC, you've been there. Like you're a freshman and you're like, shit, college like I'm gonna have 25 a game this year. And then he still just does what's asked of him every game. That may result in 24 points like it did tonight. It may result in 10 points, 8 points. He's about winning. And that's been the theme for this entire team. And it's why they went on the road. It's why they had the November and December that you talked about, RC, is because they're so mature. I think, Michigan may be the betting favorite right now, but Arizona to me is the title favorite right now.
How do you argue with
metrics.
it? How do you argue with it? I mean, even today, Toby Awaka, freaking 25 points. I mean, he's usually just a guy comes off, kicks your ass on the glass, and then tonight, he comes in and gives you 25, man. They are a complete team. And they did it tonight again, not shooting the 3 ball. They were 4 of 11. They just know who they are. They have a style of how they play. They don't fit your analytical metrics in the sense of shooting threes. So if they're making threes, they're beating everybody. That's not even debatable. But they pound you inside. They get to the foul line, and they just got guys. And like I said, Jaden Bradley is a closer. He'll never get the national recognition again. And it feels like we're saying that with so many guys, but another elite point guard play for the best team in college basketball.
Yeah, I was going to come back to you, RC, on Jaden Bradley, because obviously, he transfers in from Alabama, and he's been there now for 3 years. This is his 3rd year at Arizona. I mean, he didn't spend his entire career there, but like even to have a guy 3 years is like the new 4 years. If you keep a guy for 3 years in the same spot, like what Purdue is doing is like the anomaly. I don't think you're going to ever see 2 guys of that caliber stay at the same school for 4 years and not go to the NBA or transfer. But like I feel like that's the thing here that's putting it. I mean, obviously Coapede and the size there is a huge part of it, but that continuity, RC, with Jaden Bradley leading the show, that's what you just don't have that much of in college basketball.
No, you don't. And again, I think his game has flourished. Remember, 2 years ago, Colin Boswell was there. And so that backcourt of those guys, they were big physical guards. I remember them coming into Cameron, winning in Cameron. And you worried about that. But his offensive load is taken off. He went from scoring, I thought, early in his career. He sacrificed that. He became more of a defensive guy early in his first year at Arizona. Now he's back to scoring and he's back to defending. So he's playing as well as anybody, man. And like I said, he's a closer. When the game's on the line, there's a handful of guys that I would trust with the ball in their hands, regardless of how they're performing, that they can deliver in the end. And he's one of them.
February 21st, 3 p.m. Eastern, Arizona, Houston. Their only regular season meeting of the season.
That's criminal.
That's where I'll be. That's where I'll be.
Criminal.
Yeah, what's up with that?
I don't know
man?
how we don't
Schedule makers bullshitting out here. Only one meeting?
That's criminal, man. That's unfair to college basketball.
It is. It really is. And obviously they got Texas Tech on the 14th. They got BYU on the 18th. So I mean, it's and Iowa State on the 2nd. But yeah, Arizona keeps rolling, no question about it. All right, we're gonna head over to the afters and hit on anything we didn't touch on. So stick with us here on the Field of 68.
Boopy. These my DJ Burns shades I had for.
That was like taking them into the depths of Alaska and just dropping them off.
The first person that's gonna die got to be one of the black guys. They're not gonna make it to the end of the movie.
That's like asking somebody, do they want to get a prostate exam or a damn gunshot wound?
Welcome in to the afters here on the Field of 68. John Martin, Mike LaTulip, Randolph, Childress here. All right, a couple of things that we didn't mention on a jam-packed Wednesday. Michigan goes on the road, beats Washington 82-72. Do they cover? They do not. Washington gets the cover here. Michigan gets the win. And that, kids, is what really matters in the end. But, I mean, what can you say? I mean, this is a Washington team that's not really a factor. I mean, kind of played out as expected, right, RC?
Did you really just open up and say that, man? No, I'm with you.
I mean, that's
I get it. I thought Michigan would win this by double digits, probably win by a lot more than they did. So This started out as a rock fight. I think both teams probably missed their first 10 threes. It felt like neither team could throw it in the ocean. But Michigan just finds ways to score, man. They're just this is a really good team. They're as good as advertised. And so I didn't think it was a lot closer than I thought it should have been. But credit
Right.
Washington, man. You get a team like Michigan, it's homecoming. You got to figure out a way. Wins like this jumpstart your season. They wanted to get the 500 in the Big Ten play. Michigan thought otherwise.
Yeah, Mike, Washington just kind of feels like they're just in no man's land in the Big Ten in basketball. Like I don't know what are they supposed to be? Are they supposed to be top half? Are they like, because whatever they're supposed to be, they're not. They lost to Seattle, got diced up by Seattle. Obviously not really competing here in the Big Ten. Like, what are they supposed to be?
It's just been too much of a revolving door for them this year with injuries. You got Yates out, Claude's been out, Steinbeck's been out. I mean, it's just been they haven't been able to find any continuity. I think Danny Sprinkle's a really good coach.
He is.
And I think coming into the season, I think a lot of people viewed Washington as, not like a sleeper contender for the league, but a sleeper like, hey, don't be surprised if they finish in the top half or finish 8th or 9th. And 8th or 9th in the Big Ten this year is the NCAA tournament team.
Tournament team.
Yeah. So, I mean, like that's a difference. And then tonight, they're just outgunned, especially in the paint. I mean, you give 50 points in the paint from Michigan tonight, which isn't surprising because they own the paint. But I think RC had touched on it. I think these two teams missed their first 22 threes to start this game. And so, going on the road and Michigan was shooting 40% from three as a team to start the year. That's obviously gone down a little bit. And so now you look at these other areas where like, okay, they're still getting their work done in the paint. And then only 8 turnovers tonight for a Michigan team last year where that was really their Achilles heel. It's crept up on them a few times this year. So to go on the road, to take care of the ball when you don't have your best stuff from the outside, I thought Mara was great tonight. Merez was great again. That I've talked about it with some of these front lines, just when you have that type of floor on the road from a rebounding standpoint, from a paint dominance standpoint, that type of stuff travels.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, RC, you said it as we were getting out of here. Boopy. Virginia Tech got boopy tonight. Drains a half-court game winner. Now that's a game winner. The Malachi Moreno one should have been contested on the baseline. Should not have been allowed to happen. This was straight hooping. This was an ethical game winner here. Moreno's was an ethical game winner. It just shouldn't have happened, right? Because somebody should have been contesting that baseline. But yeah, how about these Mustangs finding a way tonight against Virginia Tech be a game winner?
They're good. Health is such a big part of it, man, with all of these teams. And you got to be healthy. And when Boopy Miller's in the lineup and he's healthy, SMU can play with anybody. They're just a different team. Mike, talked about Washington and all the guys that's been in and out of their lineup. Virginia Tech has gone through that. Bunch of guys in and out of their lineup because you got to get those guys back, get them in shape. And the problem, what happens is like Washington and the Virginia Tech, you have these expectations of taking a step, pushing for a tournament bid, but then you get riddled with injuries. And now you got to try to play guys and get them in shape and get them back, get the time and get the continuity back. And it's just hard to do that. And then now we're in conference play and it's just hard to figure those things out. But SMU, man, is what Boopy Miller is doing is another one of these guards that, another point guard, another high-level point guard that is playing that position as well as anybody in college basketball, averaging 20 and 7. I mean, it's not a thing, not enough words you can come up with to describe, I think, how good of a year he's having as well.
Mike, I mean, is it fair to blame Goodman, who had tweeted about 3 minutes before this game winner how much of a run Mike Young was going to make in the ACC, and then he gets boopied? Like, do we put this at the feet of Jeff Goodman?
Jeff probably sleep right now. We always blame Jeff. Yeah. He's probably in bed sleep.
But
This guy's such a great
let's talk
life.
about the game winner, because there's a couple points that I want to make here. I think it was 2.4 seconds left. I actually, I know it worked out for Kentucky tonight. I actually hate the heave inbound. I think it doesn't work out at the level people think it works out at. I love getting the ball in Boopie's hands, and it's like you get multiple options now. I know it's a half court shot, but I also think about like guys do practice half court shots. You practice half court shots more than you practice Malachi Moreno catch turnaround from 19 feet. So there's that. You also have the opportunity to draw a foul on the run there. But the story of the night was the guy running the pyrotechnics. I mean, when that to have the fire go off as soon as that ball went through the net was,
he knew, man.
Honestly, I might have just spoiled my toast of the night, because that was freaking awesome. That was what college basketball was all about. Just when you least expected, just a inferno erupting from the top of the basket after a game winner.
It was.
Yeah.
You don't usually see that you don't see the pyro go off on the game winners in college basketball.
Yeah, you see it starting lineups. You see it. Intros. You don't see.
I think it was an accident. It had to be an accident. Somebody was sitting there in an accident. Somebody was just excited. Somebody was just excited.
They did it twice.
They blew the whole damn building up. Or something.
That's amazing. That is. I did notice that, like, literally instantaneously. I think he was just pressing the button.
Whoever he or she is, promote them.
Yeah, I like it. I like that for sure. Anyway, nice win there for.
But I will say this. Let me add this. I will add this about what Goodman said. I do think Virginia Tech is a good team. That I think they're a team that you're going to look up February, and they're going to be knocking at the door as far as getting a tournament bid. But they have to remain healthy. They got to get healthy, stay healthy.
And I think last point, John, you got more quality opportunities this year in the SEC than you did last year.
That's very true. Very true. Absolutely. All right, moving around. Ole Miss. They left Ole Miss for dead. They go on the road as 10.5, 11-point underdogs and went outright in OT on the road at Georgia. RC, Ole Miss was supposed to be better than this. They weren't supposed to be an 11-point underdog at Georgia this year. No. They spent, more money than they usually do, on basketball. And obviously we see it around college basketball. Sometimes when you overhaul an entire roster, it doesn't come together the way you hoped it would. But obviously we know Chris Beard can coach. We know that there is talent on this team. And that came out tonight on the road, getting it done at Georgia.
I gotta admit this. I'm gonna tell it to you guys. This is it's almost funny, but it's not. So I had this text that I had sent, that I had typed up, and I was about to hit send on this text, and I didn't. And I was gonna go. I literally was gonna go, "Hey man, good win," and I'm like, Would you tell your guards not to shoot 30-footers up 3 under a minute to go? And then I go, oh, and also, why the hell didn't you switch? To switch back. Like, I don't know if you guys saw the play late in the game. They switched, and then the guy went right back to set the screen, and the guard stayed on the big. I'm like, dude, why didn't you switch back with the big? And then the shot goes up. And then you end up knocking it out of bounds. You don't secure the rebound, which led to the basket, the opportunity to go ahead and win the game. So, listen, I'm more. I've been on the Georgia bandwagon. They're playing really well. As much as we're disappointed in how Ole Miss is playing, I think Georgia's a team that I really believe in, and I've been high on them. But this was a game that they gave away at the end. They had this game at home. Learning curve for them. Hopefully they can make these adjustments, but I thought Georgia gave this one away. Just poor execution down the stretch. Shot selection defensively could have been a little tougher when needed down at the end. And good win for Ole Miss. Does this jumpstart things for Ole Miss? I don't know. I think they've dug themselves in too big of a hole to crawl out of. But wins like this tend to give you a little bit of a momentum.
Yeah, Mike. Now 10-7 on the year. This Ole Miss team, and I know Chris Beard's had a hard time. Guys in and out of the lineup, guys not performing, but you did get 27 from AJ Store tonight, which I know he's probably happy about.
Chris Beard's going to find a formula, whether they like it or not. He's gonna find a formula. I mean, that dude. There's a reason why he's won at the level he's won throughout his career. He just doesn't strike me as a dude that's going to idly stand by while his team flounders. So I thought, great that they pulled out the win. It's good to get a good AJ Store. I mean, he was shelved a couple games ago, so to see him bounce back like this after he's been well traveled. We know that.
Yeah.
His year last year, Kansas was not a banner season for him.
Brutal. Let's just call it brutal.
Mm-hmm.
Let's call it brutal. RC says let's call it brutal. I'm gonna call it brutal. But I look at Georgia tonight, and it's like, how many opportunities, man? Like, how many opportunities do you have to win this game? And these are the ones too that, Georgia's a tournament team. There's no question about that. But when you talk about this game could impact a seed line, could impact 2 seed lines, depending on you get this one, and then you look at a team that has a similar path or seeding, and they won tonight or they win tomorrow. I don't know. That's one of those. I think they got 21 offensive rebounds tonight.
Yeah, when you listen, let's be honest. In a league like this, or in any league, but especially the SEC, when you have a game won like this, you got to close it, because it'll be nothing for you to lose. You can lose 2 to 3 games, and really in all these leagues, like in the ACC, you can lose at SEC. You can lose 2 to 3 games, and you play ranked opponents, and no one thinks any different. But you can't give them away, and this feels like a giveaway. This felt like they just wrapped this up like this is a late Christmas present, that they forgot to give away for Christmas. I mean, they had this game won, and I thought their decision making on both ends of the floor was like a team that is riding momentum more than a team that actually believes that they are among the best teams in the SEC. So you cannot do that. We're going to learn a lot about Georgia going forward after this. I'm definitely going to be paying close attention, because, again, I've been a big fan of theirs, but they gave this game away. They should be sick to their stomachs with this one.
Well, Merry Christmas, Chris Beard. Late holiday gift. We just went final. We just went final. Duke Cal 71-56. Duke handling business. Cam Boozer 21-13. Isaiah Evans 17. Hey, not every school in the ACC went west and handled business tonight. RC, you got to say, Duke gets it done on the road against Cal here.
Man, this game's going off at 1:15 in the morning. These are hard games. There's Wednesday night game traveling west. I think Wake Forest was the only team that went west last year to win both games, and Cal and Stanford is better than they were a year ago. I think everyone got it wrong in the preseason rankings. I think they were ranked maybe 15th and 16th. I don't think there's no way in hell either one of those two finished that low in the ACC. They're legit. They're real. I mean, they battled against Duke, and this is a talented Duke team, and Stanford. They're physical. They can score the ball. So it's going to be difficult for teams going west. You're not going west. There's not many teams that's going to go west and get 2 wins.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not surprised with Carolina going down tonight, and Duke's going to have a tough test, when they play Stanford as well.
Mike, it was basically like the opposite game of Stanford and North Carolina, because Duke shot 22% from 3 and Cal shot 22% from 3. So, Mike, to create the margin like this, 15 on the road, East to West Coast, I mean, I feel like that's a signal of the caliber of team we're dealing with here with Duke.
Yeah, I think so, but I also think it was Cam Boozer in the second half. I think when you look at, I think the way people look at his, when people look at his game, like, you think methodical, you think like very skilled, very matter of fact. But I think what people lose sight of is the fact that, like, this dude is a ultra competitor, like ultra competitor, killer. And you look at the first 15 minutes of that second half, up until maybe like the 4-minute mark, he scored or assisted on all of their baskets. All. And you know, whether or not that's like a projectable formula for the NCAA tournament, it's working right now. And that's a guy that I think can shoulder that load. So regardless of like what's going on around him, they have, you know, all these different starting lineups. You know, Gongbo was in the starting lineup. He was out last game. He's back into it this game. There's a lot of continuity I know that they're searching for, but you got the most steady dude arguably in America on your team. So while all that stuff is going on around you, you can experiment a little bit knowing that you got that guy to kind of stabilize you. And in moments when your back's up against the wall, in moments where you need him, he was phenomenal in the second half. The Cal crowd was giving it to him, and that's why I said like the competitive spirit of him going on the road, going west, and taking care of business. He was phenomenal tonight.
Man, he's the most dominant player in college basketball. I mean, he's the most dominant guy, and I don't think it's really a close argument. I'm not talking about NBA draft boards and all of that. He's the most dominant guy in college basketball, because we're sitting here talking about a team that's essentially a top 5 team, and they've been struggling to find a consistent second guy. And they are a blown lead, a double-digit lead against Texas Tech from being undefeated. He's that good because they know they can try to figure out. He's buying time for Shire to figure out the starting lineup, the rotation, because Shire's going to shrink his rotation. I mean, at some point, it's like, look, right now they're playing 10 guys or so. He'll shrink that. Audition. It might be 8 guys. Yeah, they're going to figure this out. So, and he's allowing them the opportunity that while we're figuring it out, we're just going to give the ball Cam Boozer and get the hell out of the way and take us home. You know, whether it's Kate in the lineup, whether it's Caleb at Foster at the point, you know, Haminia is making shots or not, whether, you know, Isaiah Evans is making shots or not, it doesn't matter. He knows at the end of the day, I got Cam Boozer and I'm going to feed him and he's going to take us home. And he does. He delivers.
Yeah. All right. It was such a win for Arkansas. RC was calling the hogs in between segments here. By the way, if you guys have never done that, you should do it. Calling the hogs is like one of the most fun things you could ever do in your entire life. But you kind of wondered, like, all right, you know, you kind of got your ass handed to you by Auburn on the road, which again, we talk about, it happens. How do you respond? They responded. And it felt like, Mike, this was like this Arkansas team at its absolute peak efficiency. You got Acuff going off. You got Malik Thomas coming off the bench going off. Like this is Arkansas, Mike, at their absolute best.
All that mattered tonight was Arkansas getting back to just playing their brand of basketball. And that Auburn game, I know Cal talked about it after the game. We're flushing this one. They looked unrecognizable in that game. But you look tonight, 12 steals, 416 turnovers. Like Billy Richmond had 3 of those steals, but he was responsible for forcing about 6 of South Carolina's turnovers. He was phenomenal. You get 32 fast break points tonight after having 13 against Auburn. You've been around like 20 a game for the year. That's where your bread's buttered in the open floor. 4 turnovers tonight to go along with 27 assists tells me the level of engagement mentally, how locked in you are to the game. And Darius Acuff, man, like it is.
And another one.
It's just good. He's the engineer of their pace. 13 assists, 0 turnovers. He was decisive. He had a few just beautiful hit-ahead passes in transition. I mean, like when I think about Ewan, Pringle, Brazil, like these dudes just thank their lucky stars. You got a guy like that who, all bullets are live with him. Like you got to understand where passes are coming from. If you free yourself up, if you back cut, he can find you. He can knock down shots. You know, he was orchestrating things in the half court. And somehow he is still underrated. He shouldn't be, but somehow he's still underrated, both nationally in college basketball and as a prospect. Like I don't think it's crazy to say, and you can however you want to classify Darren Peterson. If you want to say he's more of a combo guard, like I wouldn't say Darren Peterson is necessarily like a point guard. But as far as point guards go, why can't Darius Acuff be the first point guard taken in June?
Yeah, I mean he's gonna be in the mix. There's no doubt. I mean, Phylon's gonna be there.
Yeah.
Oh, but think about it. Think about all the teams in the point guard position we talked about tonight. I mean, like I said, guys that are just playing that position at a high level. I mean, that we covered in just tonight, and we're getting to Arkansas, and we're talking about Darius Acuff and how good he is. No, he is. I mean, everything that Mike said about him. I mean, he is. I think he's playing at this level a lot earlier than I think a lot of people thought. I thought he'd play well because that's what Cal does. You go to play for Cal. I was getting ready to say Kentucky and Arkansas and play for Cal, and he's going to put the ball in his young guys' hands and he's going to roll with them. He's going to let them play. I think this team is going to get better and better. And you heard me say earlier today, I think they're going to have something to say. They got to be a little bit more consistent. That was, the ass kicking they took, against Auburn was a little bit alarming, but they came back today and they responded and they gave the type of performance that you wanted to see.
And
I guess
I think teams.
Go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say, John, like I think teams need this, especially teams that rely on young guys like Acuff and like Malik Thomas, and guys that are now, like Malik Ewan hasn't done a ton of winning in his career. There's a few guys on this team that like haven't been a part of winning at a high level, and sometimes you need those stark contrast games where it's like, here's the Auburn tape, here's the South Carolina tape. Which ones you guys have more fun doing, and which one can we what can we bring to every single game to give ourselves the best chance to win? And sometimes dudes just need to see that. Like sometimes dudes just need to see like, oh, yep, don't want to do that, want to do that, and then that's how you start building not only the winning habits, but what the word RC used, the consistency. It's like shit, we got to be locked in every single game. We can't do what we did against Auburn. Shots may not fall every night. You're going to maybe have some turnovers on some nights, but like the level of engagement, the communication, like it was quiet against Auburn, like all that stuff has to carry over. And I think this was a good lesson in that of like what it is when you don't have it and what it is when you do have it.
Absolutely right. And when they have it, they can score 108. So it's good. Hey, you can.
But I'm not going just like we're not going to overreact against Auburn. We can't overreact because it was South Carolina too. So,
damn. I mean, they are an SEC team, coach.
Yeah, I heard.
That's crazy. I think BYU's
hey man, we're gonna give you Memphis. We're gonna give you Memphis Tigers a shout out tonight, man. I know they weren't on the schedule, man. But I don't care what Jeff or Rob talk about, man. What's up with the Memphis Tigers, man?
I can't even look at them, man. I can't even look at that team right now. It's just it's disgusting. I hate to say it. But hopefully they can figure it out by March. I doubt it though. Looks like BYU is going to polish off one against TCU, which TCU very interesting team. Like they're competitive and they should probably have a lot more wins than they do. But obviously BYU, so much talent. And they're going to be 16-1 RC with a win here. They're sitting there. They're 11th in the country. They have who I believe is going to be the number one pick in the draft. Are we talking about them enough as a contender right now, RC?
Yeah, I think everybody now is agreed that I think we have said in the Big 12 it's going to be, it's not just Arizona and Iowa State and Houston. I think BYU has earned the right to be in that conversation. So I think it's those four teams in the Big 12. I don't think they're sneaking up on anybody. I expected them to take care of business today, and they did. TCU is a scrappy team, man. They compete, they play well, and they give But again, but we expect BYU to be where they are. Right? This isn't surprising.
Yeah, 25 from AJ right now. Before maybe he'll add to that tally with some free throws here. Where are you at on BYU, Mike?
Well, I think the telltale sign is you look at the 16-1 record. I mean, their best win is probably Clemson,
Yeah.
Wisconsin. Like they don't have that like marquee win. So the telltale sign to me that they're still respected nationally is no one ever says this. No one ever mentions their schedule because you watch them, you see it. Like you see the talent, you see just like the continuity they have, the ways in which they can beat you. I mean, tonight they get 22 offensive rebounds. When AJ maybe doesn't have his most efficient night, Saunders can obviously hurt you from the outside. Wright can hurt you. I mean, Keita's I think one of the most underrated bigs in America as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I think as we get through January, that's when we're really going to see. And I'm not in wait and see mode with BYU. I think BYU they're a Final Four threat. They can win the whole damn thing. But you look at the rest of January, and it's Texas Tech at Texas Tech next on Saturday. You get Utah at home, and then you go Arizona, Kansas to finish out the month. So you got three really big opportunities there to stake your claim as not only just like hey, yeah, we respect BYU. We think they can be a potential title contender. You knock off Arizona, you knock off Texas Tech in Lubbock. Like now you start really turning heads and start probably entering the conversation of like, hey, who do we start talking about as the favorite?
Mm-hmm.
I think there's that type of possibility for BYU on the table, depending on how they finish out this month.
I think that's the only thing we're waiting on. That's the only thing we're
Yeah.
waiting on, right? With BYU, we're just waiting to see. I think you can add to that schedule. I think they beat a Miami team that I think is pretty good. They beat Dayton early in the year. They beat some really good teams. I just don't think
good. They beat
good teams. We just don't know. We want to see them against Houston, the Arizonas, and the upper echelon, the teams that we know are Final Four potential. I think that's the only thing missing from their resume. And we need to see them a couple of times. I mean, win or lose, we need to see them, and we will once we get into conference play.
Well, even the UConn game.
Right,
Yeah.
they furious.
Yeah,
rallied
they were right
second
there.
half.
Yeah.
No question.
Keita's out. Kennard Davis is out. Like that's you were down two impact guys, and still found a way to, you didn't win the game, but like still found a way to keep that close. Obviously, DeBanza went nuts in that second half, but it's crazy. I mean, I think that how are we talking about this team if they pulled out that win?
That's the thing about why we're always going to be in it is because they got him. And on any given night, like the Clemson game, they were down 20, and then he put his cape on, and it was like, come on, and he can do that at any given night. He can be the best player in college basketball, and why I believe he'll be the number one pick in the NBA draft. So, I can't wait to see the matchups. I really wish we could fast forward the schedule on some of these games.
Yep. The only drama in BYU and TCU is if BYU covers the number. It closed 7.5. They're up 9 with 2. What a backdoor cover.
Someone's going to hit a three. Someone's going to hit a three.
Brother.
Yes, backdoor cover, man. Somebody's sick as hell right now.
Oh, man. That's why I leave y'all alone, man. I leave that bet to you and Rob, man. I leave that betting to you and Rob because that would make me sick right now because I've never seen that more than any other time in my life, man. That freaking guy shooting the ball down 8.
Yes. It's amazing I still have hair. I don't know how I still have hair after as much as I bet on this shit. But that's fine. We live to fight another day. All right, let's do toast of the night. Who wants to start us off?
I gotta go with the game winner, man. I gotta go with Boopy Miller, the game winner.
Cheers. That was a hell of a shot.
Who you got?
I'm gonna go with a National Player of the Year candidate we haven't mentioned once tonight. JT Toppin. 31 points, 13 rebounds, 7 assists, 5 blocks. We gotta maybe pull out the Elias Sports Bureau on that one. I don't know when the last time that's happened in a high major game. It's pretty damn impressive.
Hey, thank you for saying that because I've been saying all year long, in my opinion, it's been Cam Boozer and then it's been JT Toppin.
Yep.
For me, like National Player.
I would agree.
For me,
I would agree.
I'm gonna give it to Abuka Corey. How could I not? Representing
So many options. So many options.
So many options
Tonight
on a
was
busy
crazy,
Wednesday.
yeah.
But representing the state of
pyrotechnics guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, lots of deserving candidates tonight, but welcome to the national scene, Abuka Corey. You deserve it. Toast the night to
Hey,
you,
man, we got to
young
sign
man.
off, man. I got Trevor's got to go to bed. He got to clean up his dog's throw up, man. It's a lot going on right now with the field of 68 producers, man. We got to get my guy.
Well, we really do
Get my
appreciate
guys to
all
bed.
they do behind the scenes and battling
Yeah.
through the adversity, the various bouts of adversity. Dagan and
Shout
Trevor
out
are the
to my
best.
guy. Hey,
Shout out, man.
and Dagan is still struggling because this bum ass Eagles is home. He's no, you ain't good. Listen, let me tell y'all something. He was horrible the other night. He was horrible. He was in the worst freaking mood because his damn sorry ass Eagles lost, and he was. I was real disappointed in him, man. That was my guy, but I was.
No, I
disappointed.
saw the.
He didn't bring it. He didn't bring it like usual.
I saw the Jalen Hurts and Sirianni end of season meeting with the Black Panther soundtrack, saying they swore they're going to be back next year. I have no doubt we'll be back. It was like the end of a movie. We'll see, maybe we'll see. That was a tough end.
Oh,
tough end
man,
Glock Purdy in Philly. All right, it's going to do it for us tonight. Thanks for hanging out with us here on the Field of 68 for Randolph, Childress, for Mike LaTulip. I'm John Martin. Catch you guys this week.